He's spending a fortune to stay in office, while 1.5 million people have left his city for good. And in his 8 years as mayor, some believe Michael Bloomberg has turned New York into his very own kingdom. But thousands of homeless and unemployed say the city is too expensive to live in.
City officials say homelessness has increased 45% since Mayor Bloomberg came to office 8 years ago. Experts say the alarming figure hasn't been this high since the Great Depression.
We've been in about 35, 40 shelters in New York City so far in the last 8 years. We do the men's shelters, the women's shelters, the co-ed shelters. We have an amazing group of volunteers that do this work. You know, they religiously go to a shelter once a week and sit with our folks and offer them any kind of information or help, or, you know, like if they need a lawyer, we can get them free lawyers. If they want to go back to school and need a GED, we'll plug them into GED programs. Mediation, you know, inside the shelter system, if there's problems towards queers and the rest of the population that's living there, we can do mediation in these groups. It's a place for them to come in, sit down in their own shelter and talk about queer issues.
They took me to a men's shelter in Manhattan, and it was an assessment shelter. And they asked me if I wanted to go to a male or female shelter, like which one I feel comfortable going to. And I said straight up, no, pause, no, a women's shelter. Because I'm a female, so I want to be with females. I almost regretted that decision when I went to the women's shelter, and I was just like, oh my God, like my first night there, it was a fight with the transgenders and the females. Like the females jumped two transgender females there. The transgenders had a lot of situations and problems at the women's shelter. Like they was getting fights with them, they was like arguing. It's like you really being harassed. And after QEJ came in, and of course I moved into women's shelter, it started to resolve itself. Because we talked about the issue between the females and transgenders and just found a way to live together.
I was a drug addict, you know, crack cocaine, heroin, and then got real sick and ended up in the shelter system. But there's people in there that have been burned out of their apartments. That in this economy, I'm seeing so many more people coming in because they've lost their jobs. They can't pay their rent anymore. You know, or I've seen mothers and daughters coming in now where the parent has lost their house, you know, because they can't pay the mortgage.
Well, I lost my kids because of the situation of my kid's father, what he did, which was not nice. He molested my girls. ACS, they thought I neglect my children, which I never did, and I found out the worst thing that he did, and then finally ACS came and took my kids.
So I'm living in a box, I'm homeless, I'm panhandling, I'm begging for money, you know. I go to the shelter system and this woman comes in, and she belongs to a group called the Queers for Economic Justice Network. And we start talking, and she wants me to come and go to their meetings and hear them speak at the center. And she actually had to drag me because I didn't want to go to the LGBT center because I felt I'm homeless, you know, like they wouldn't be open to me, you know, that I didn't have the right clothes, that maybe I didn't smell right. So I really did not want to go, and she dragged me, and it was the QEJ network speaking about welfare made a difference. It was awesome. You know, these folks were up there talking about people living in poverty, homeless people, people on welfare, and I just wanted to make a connection. I wanted to, you know, I wanted to belong to this group. And they asked the audience if they wanted to say something, and I never thought I had a voice, you know. Never thought that I had anything useful to tell people. I was, you know, I just wasn't a speaker. And that night they handed me that mic, and I haven't shut up since.
That's
it's
right.
Like, it's like I can't stop talking, you know. And I don't know, to me it's a good thing. Other people might get tired of me. You know, it's like all I want to know and talk about is homelessness in our community, and why isn't everybody talking about this problem instead of marriage.
My thing is homelessness. You know, I was on the streets of New York for 25 years living in boxes and then shelters, so I know what it's like. And these people that are here today from the New York City shelter want housing, and they need housing.
By one queer putting their hand out to me while I was in the shelter system and helping me get out. And that's what the shelter project is all about at QEJ. A lot of our community doesn't do anything. You know, they don't even see homelessness. You know, they never look down. Or if they see a homeless person, you know, they never think of them as queer, or, you know, they think of them as bums. You know.
Well, homelessness is a huge issue for queer and trans people all over the city and all over the world, and that so few LGBT organizations really take that seriously or really prioritize that. And I'm proud to work at QEJ where that's central to our mission.
QEJ is more like a family to me than my own flesh and blood, because it's like my family, some of my family turn against me, away from me because of the situation that I'm going through and everything. And they don't even understand the situation I'm going through unless they fit my shoes. And QEJ has understand a whole lot and helped me out a lot. And they are my family, and they're my life.
A message to, well, it's the message that I've been sending for the last 8 years of, with Mayor Bloomberg as mayor, and a little time with Giuliani, but it's the same message. We need affordable housing. You know, we need to get, instead of opening up the drill floors in the armories, we need to be getting more apartments to get people out of the shelters, not making more room for them. We need to be getting them into their own places. We need to stop the three-quarter housing. Stop with all your grand plans of making up new programs that fail within a year or two. You know, they're not working. What works is people getting their own places, people getting jobs, being able to go to school. And people can't do that in your programs. For my community, my message is get more involved. You know, look around you. You know, it doesn't have to be QEJ. It doesn't have to be our organization that you volunteer with. But get involved, do something, you know. There's a big portion of our community that need your help, you know, and it's your responsibility, you know, to put your hand out there and try to help somebody.